Well, welcome back to the DT Wellbeing Podcast with me, DT. Now today, guys, I am delighted to have a gentleman with me, not only because he's from Cork, but that is the primary reason I'm quite excited. But we have McCormack with us today, guys, the real world Buddhist, speaker, coach, mentor. Very, very interesting, guys. I'm delighted to have you on with us today, Graham. How are you? How's everything in Cork?
Very good, very good. It's always good down in Cork, as you know.
As I know, very few of us get out of there, and I can't wait to get back. Figures out myself. Dublin have had me for a few years now, but I'm almost ready to come home to the motherland.
Yeah, it's always good down here, man.
Yeah. Look, it is. They do say that, you know, what is it? Irish by birth and Cork by the grace of God, and it's hard to argue with that. You know,
you can't argue with that.
So tell me, Graham, look, I know a lot about you. You know a lot about me. We do the similar stuff in a similar field. We're from the same part of the world. So there's a lot of crossovers. And like what you came onto my radar day, you know, a lot of the mental health advocacy, a lot of the talks that you do regarding mental health, especially with young people, which I'm all about. I know you have a very interesting sporting background as well, which I hope you might be able to, you know, tell us a little bit about that and another, you know, way we can kind of, you know, there's crossovers there in terms of the sport and background and things like that. So, yeah, Graham, you might just give us an update as to what you do with your life and what you've done with your life and catch us up.
Yeah, so basically I'm a life coach. As you said, there's lots of crossovers with us. So I'd be a life coach, a public speaker, a mental health advocate, a father, a man of many hats. But definitely, I'd say just at its core, my heart lies in just creating change, you know what I mean, based off of my own past experiences and having a voice and using it in hopes that it can inspire, help and motivate others.
Good man. And like you touched on it there, but like what has it been that has happened in your life to make you so passionate about this? Because we all have our stories. And what I love when people come onto this podcast is like just getting an insight into people's stories, you know, and we all find ourselves in wherever we are in the world and in our places in our life's journey, but there's all a background that got us to here. And I was just hoping that you might be able to share with us, where does this passion come from?
Jesus, how long do we have? You have an hour. Yeah, so like just basically, man, like, you know, if you're alive and you're breathing right now, you have a past, you know, and everyone's past is different. And I was dealt a certain hand in life where it was just crisis after crisis after crisis after crisis, and I could say it all day long. And, you know, like even when I was young, it was just, I just felt different. I just felt like not the same as everyone else. And I don't mean like as in a weirdo or you know, any judgmental statements. I just meant like I don't act or think like anyone else.
I get that.
You know, and there was lots of anxiety. You know, my mother would want to go into Cork City and I'd be like, no, I don't want to go in. I was just afraid that I'd get beaten up. And, you know, like all this was going on when I was 6 or 7. You know, I was just completely afraid. I just wanted to stay at home. And my parents were, you know, having trouble with me. They clearly didn't know that there was massive anxiety and little bouts of what I can call paranoia, you know, based on reflection. But yeah, so I was in school at that point as well, and it was just constantly being bullied. I didn't know it was bullying at the time, but you know, I just knew that words really hurt me, you know, and again, on reflection as an adult, reflecting back to then, I was just had a very sensitive nature about me, you know. I was very fragile as a person. So just bullying carried on, you know. At 11, I dabbled in drugs. At 12, I dabbled in alcohol, and at 13, I dabbled in psychiatrist. I was brought into the psychiatrist's office. My parents found a list of the names of bullies that I wanted to hurt, basically beyond repair. So they were like, "Okay, you need help." So when yeah, I think that's a good point to get help.
Well, it is. For the bully's sake, and nothing else. It's good for you.
Yeah.
To protect them and nothing else.
Yeah. So like, so I was brought into psychiatrist. She just said, look, Graham needs to come off drinking drugs or it's not going to end well for him, basically. No. So when I heard that, I didn't care because I started to hate myself. And the reason I started to hate myself at that point was I was taking on board what the bullies were saying. And not just that, but I formed a belief in my own head that what they were saying was true because it was just going on for so long. So my perception of self was completely off at 13, just coming into the teenage years. And that's a pretty, you know, important time. So went into secondary school. Majority of them that were in my primary. It was an all boys primary, ended up in the secondary as well because it was in the local area. So teenage years, and as you can imagine, the bullying just continued. And I started to really act out at that point. I was really lashing out of how I was feeling. You know, I was letting air out of the teacher's tires. I was constantly disrupting class. I was taking the doors off the hinges in the toilets. I was fighting. I was being
Yeah.
suspended. Everything was happening, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was 16 and it was coming to the end of fourth year for me. I was drinking alcohol on school property in the yard, and I finished a bottle of whatever it was, can't remember, it was a green bottle. And I just fired the glass bottle across the yard and I tried to hit my principal. It smashed off the wall
Oh,
next to him.
wow.
So basically I was like, oh, you know, with all the lads, did you see
Yeah.
that? Did you see that? And of course I got dragged from behind by a teacher,
Oh,
and the
wow,
principal
Graham.
came around with a big bull's head in him, and he just basically said, just get out of my school, don't ever come back, you know.
Wow.
Called my parents in, and just the look of
That was it?
disappointment. Yes. Yeah, that was me done with school. And
Okay.
you know, again, like I love reflecting on things in life. It's a
Yeah.
powerful thing that we can embody in practice. But at that point, like I literally all the actions that I was taking, all the choices that I was making were just for someone to accept me. Hear my pain and accept
Yeah.
me, please. Hear my pain and accept me. That's
Yeah.
all it was, nothing else. And when I got kicked out of school, my family had to decide what to do with me. And it came to the point where rehab was probably the best place to go. So I ended up in rehab at 16 in Ashling House in, I think it's Ballyraggett, Kilkenny.
Okay.
So I think it's called Ash Irie right now. I think they've changed the name and stuff like that. But it's an adolescent. I went in there and I went for an assessment, and my mother was with me at that point in the assessment itself. And you know, they were like, oh, what drugs would be taken, you know, and all that. Like, and I was just listing out everything. I was listing out, you know, like sniffing petrol, glue, Xanax. At that point I was robbing my mother's Xanax. There was cocaine, there was ecstasy, there was speed, there was cans of Lynx in a bag, you know. There was just so much. Like, my mother broke down in tears because she didn't know any of that was going on, you know.
Yeah, but look, wasn't it great for you to express that, you know, with full honesty and full disclosure that how old are you then, Graham?
I was 16 at that point. Yeah, 16. And you know, like, definitely, like, I think you can express from two different approaches. I was, as you said there, you know, expressed with full authenticity, transparency. I was expressing because I didn't give a shit what anyone thought of me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I was just like, this is it. I don't give a hoot. You know what I mean? Just do
Yeah.
what you want to do with me. You know, my life is practically over already. You know, I don't care.
Yeah.
And that's a very dangerous attitude to have as a hurt and wounded young man.
Yeah.
To be a wounded male and to have that attitude is a recipe for disaster. It really is, you know.
Yeah.
And so I went in. I only lasted a week and a half in there. I was just crying myself to sleep every night. I couldn't handle it. I was like, I wasn't ready to change, you know. I just wanted out there. I just wanted to get back home to continue doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I came back home and I carried on what I thought was living, you know, and I was just continuing to use even more, and being around, like, you know, older people that were, you know, in and out of prison all their life, and you know, and just, it was just a bad environment to be in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so life continued on, and my girlfriend at the time became pregnant, and I just turned 18. And well, I was actually 18. I didn't just turn 18. And throughout the entire pregnancy, the inner critic just ran riot. Basically, it was just like, you know, you're a scumbag, you're a horrible person, you know, you done this to that person last week, and you robbed that, and you know, you're going to be a terrible role model, and all of this. And I was just like, yeah, that's so true. I'm a scumbag. And I just believed it, you know. And I just beat myself down for the entire pregnancy. And then my daughter was born when I just turned 19. And that was just that yin and the yang, just that little bit of light that I needed. Just to carry on just another small bit, you know. So after about 3 months, the inner critic got on top of me again. Daughter was about 3 months old. I freaked out one night, and I just broke up with her mother, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. This is too much. And I freaked out so much that I actually attempted to take my life that night. and I luckily survived. And I ended up in the psychiatric ward. And I was in there for about 6 weeks, and it was just nothing but medication. You know, they really needed to, like, I'm not a massive fan of medication in the earlier stages of something, you know, but when someone's in crisis,
Oh yeah, man.
I absolutely agree with it. You know?
Same. Exact same philosophy. Yeah.
Yeah. So at that point, I kind of goes, oh, okay, I need to be dumbed down. I need to be, you know, I need to be just grounded a bit, you know, because I was just high as a kite all the time. I couldn't sit down. My legs were rattling. I was up. I had to do something, and you know, I was just all over the place. I couldn't look anyone in the eyes, you know, at 19 as, you know, practically a man, you know. I couldn't look anyone in the eyes. I had to look at the floor, or, you know, if I looked at them for too long, I'd feel awkward. I'd look away, and just all the body language of someone who's just not well, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I left the psychiatric ward, and all the medication that I was on then while I was in there, that continued, but the milligrams went up. So I came home, and I was just groggy, just all over the place. Didn't know what I was doing. I wanted to be out with my friends, but I couldn't get off the couch, you know, from sedatives. I was just like, oh God. So after I'd say about 3 or 4 months, I had a massive side effect of the medication. Was like just this insatiable hunger. I just could not stop eating. Like, and this was on I boil it down to the medication as well. It's Seroquel, so it's an antipsychotic.
I was on it, believe it or not. I was on it. Yeah.
They had, at that point, they had me on 300 milligrams of Seroquel. Like,
that's a lot.
That would knock a horse, as you know. Or anyone who knows Seroquel, like 25 milligrams of Seroquel will put you to sleep. You know what I mean? It will, and you'll feel groggy the next day. I was on 300, and it was just like, oh God, insatiable. So like I wake up in the morning, you know, I couldn't get upstairs to my bed, so I'd sleep on the couch. You know the way they just knock you out straight away. So like I'd wake up in the morning, I'd look on the floor, and this feeling of shame and guilt would come over me by looking at all the like chocolate bars, crisps, like cans of Red Bull. Like, I don't even remember any of, like, why am I drinking cans of Red Bull at like probably 2 a.m? You know what I mean? Like, what is going on? I just couldn't remember it. And that's where all the weight started to come on. That was that point. And it was getting pretty heavy at that point.
Okay. How old are we now around this point now?
I was about still 19.
19, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was 19. And I remember just a couple of months of kind of putting on weight, like really quickly. I came out of the shower one day, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I said, dude, oh no. I was like, you know, mentally you're not well. I know physically you're becoming unwell. You know what I mean? And I became aware that I was at a crossroads. I can either continue to do what I'm doing and just get bigger and bigger. And for me, my weight, and for majority of people, we attach how we feel to our weight, you know? And I knew that if I started to get bigger and bigger and bigger, my mood would get lower and lower and lower. So I said, right, I'm going to do something about it. So I rang a gym, literally just about 5 minutes up the road. You know, I Googled it first, and this gym was up the road. I never heard of it or anything like that. 5 minutes away. I said, brilliant, you know, I'll fly up. So I went up, and I went up for my first class. It was a trial class, and it was CrossFit. Like, I was like, you couldn't have anything else worse to start your first class. So
how'd you get on?
I think I empty reached about 40 times, I'd say,
in
about 15 minutes. And that was the warm-up. And I was just like,
Jesus, Graham. Yeah. Look, that'd be tough, keeper.
He told me, you know what I mean? The guy who owns the gym, he was like, this is tough now. Like, you know what I mean? But we really want you to get a feel for what we do. So I was like, oh yeah, no bother. And I was just like,
good man for going for that. Yeah.
Every 5 minutes, you know. But like, I enjoyed it. It was out of my comfort zone. I'm glad that I made a right choice for once in my life. I hit a crossroads, and I made a positive choice. So I joined the gym after that. Glutton for punishment. You know, and actually, to be honest, just on that point, I never mentioned it there, but I was self-harming since I was 7 as well in the background.
Okay.
I think the physical punishment that I perceived it as from the CrossFit was like, yeah, can I swear?
Yeah, I'll fucking swear away, mate.
Right. So I was like, I can fuck myself up in a good way. You know what I mean?
Nice.
It's good, but I can still fuck myself up, you know. And it
I
was
love that.
partly, yeah.
Yeah,
I still hold that philosophy today, actually, as well. But
me too.
it works wonders, let me tell you, as you know. Like, but yeah, so I joined the gym and I was there for about 2 weeks, and I went up for a CrossFit class one night, and the coach wasn't there. So it was an hour class, and I was kind of going, what'll I do? So I kind of looked around the gym, and over the other side of the gym, there was a boxing class on, you know, and it was strange because it was never on the same time as the CrossFit. I'd never seen it up until that night. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So I was like, that's weird. I've never seen boxing in here. And then I went over and I joined in the boxing class for an hour, and, you know, 45 minutes of technique, and the last 15 minutes were sparring. And I was like, you know, I thought I was a tough guy, and I was like,
Yeah,
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 let's
yeah.
go. So I went in anyway, and I got the shit beat out of me for 15 minutes. And I was just like, you know, I remember I had a small bit of a blood nose and just a bit of a swelling on the eye, and I was like, fuck, I love that. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, you know, and again, it's probably that glutton for punishment kind of attitude that I had at that point, and
Yeah.
it was just, yeah.
There is
So
something nice in it, though. There is something nice in it. I don't know why it is, and I don't know if everybody feels the same way, but what you're describing there about enjoying getting a punch in the face, I was the same. I was like, yeah. But so, and that's so anyway. So you that was your first experience with boxing, and you went back.
yeah, so I joined the boxing side of things, and later what I found out as I was leaving, I was like, why wasn't that on or all the time or whatever? He was like, yeah, whatever way it worked out, the class is just on tonight. We changed the time, and I was just like, that was
Meant to
just
be.
meant to be. You
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
So I found out then actually afterwards as well that it wasn't just boxing. There was MMA on all the time. There was MMA specific classes. There was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There was Russian Sambo. There was judo. There was American college wrestling. Like, there was all martial arts, and I was like, fuck, I want to try that. So it was
Nice.
just, I just dove headfirst into the MMA side of the gym. I left go of CrossFit, you know, and
Yeah.
I just took to it. So like after about 3 months of cross training and all the different martial arts, the head coach of the MMA came to me and said, you know, would you like to fight in MMA? And I said, of course I would. Big tough guy.
Yeah.
Underneath, I was like, oh shit, what did I just sign up
And
for?
then what?
Yeah, I'll do that. Oh, UFC, definitely.
Oh yeah.
So I agreed, and I think it was about 2 months later I had my first fight. So the 27th of November 2010 was when I had my first MMA fight.
Okay,
And
2 months later, after being introduced to it, you're actually in a competitive. Wow, man.
Yeah. Well, it was about 5 months in total. I had about 3 months of training, and then like 2 months after that, I had my first fight. But even the 5-month bracket, that's like I ended up being a coach, and I can touch on that in a while in MMA. I would not put anyone in after 5 months. But there was a reason why I was in 5 months, and you'll hear it in a second.
Go on.
So I had my first MMA fight on 27 November 2010. So that was in Neptune Stadium here in Cork on a show called Cage Warriors. So that's
okay. Yes, yeah.
Massive show, you know. It was a big jump for me. Never fought in front of in front of a big audience. I fought down the road. Yeah, or outside school.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was just a massive show, big jump, and I just was like, holy shit, that was like crazy. You know what I mean? What I just did. Can't believe I done that. And it was a good crazy. I felt like a good crazy thing, you know? And that's like, you know, fucking yourself up in a good way, and good crazies can lead to good experiences as well, you know? And later that night on the same show, there was 2 other fighters. So one was called Joseph Duffy. Have you heard of him? He was in UFC. Yeah, I think he's still on the contract.
Yeah.
Not fighting.
Is he Cork?
No, he's from Donegal.
Yeah, I thought that. Sorry, that's what put me off there. Yeah.
And his opponent that night was Conor McGregor.
Go away.
Yeah, Dublin guy, lots of ego.
Yeah.
Good.
It's the same night. The same night.
Yeah, the same night, same show. Yeah.
Wow.
And Conor got beaten in 30 seconds that night. And even to see that, like, I didn't know who Conor McGregor was until I fought on that show. You know what I mean? Everyone's like, leading up to Conor's fight, everyone's like, watch this guy now. He's good, you know?
So he's like, he already had a profile at that stage in Ireland.
Conor?
Yeah, at that stage.
Yeah, he had a few. He had about 6 or 7, I think, up to the fight with Joe Duffy. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him, but he had a profile. Like, people knew of him. Like, he was famous in circles.
Oh, profile. Sorry, I thought you meant profile. Yeah, no, he had a profile. He had a dangerous profile. He was
okay.
That's why everyone was like, you know, watch this guy, because like he was known for knocking everyone out before that.
Okay.
And to see him beaten in 30 seconds was just crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I seen it all, and I was just like, I want all of this the rest of my life.
Love that.
You know. So I committed then to, as I said just there, you know, I committed to having MMA a part of my life, you know, a big part of my life for the rest of my life. And I said I was just going to fight until I can't fight no more. And
Nice.
I fought from 2010 until the middle of, towards the end of 2012.
Okay.
So just a couple of years, which was fine. But within that 2-year period, I was ranked 4th in Ireland for my weight class. I had 8 MMA fights. I won 5, lost 3. I had 2 boxing fights. I had about 30 grappling tournaments in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I got the opportunity to fight for a belt. There was a production company
Nice.
from England flew over to video me fighting. Literally the only person on the show and all in the it was actually, that show was in the Regency Hotel. There was a shooting there not so long ago in a boxing tournament.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so that's where I fought. I actually fought there 3 times. But
Wow.
in there, yeah, that show and this production company came in. I remember I was just sitting there and I was just like chilling out, my earphones in. And this crew, like there was about 3 or 4 of them came in, and they were just kind of, I could see they were looking and possibly asking people stuff. It was like that. And they were like, "Are you Graham McCormack?" to this guy next. I was like, "I'm fucking Graham McCormack. What's up?" You know, like, "Who are you?" And they were like, "Oh, yeah, do you mind if we film you?" And all this.
Wow, man.
Yeah. So I done pretty well in that 2-year period, you know. And
Yeah.
like when I say I got the opportunity to fight for a belt, that was the very last fight I had in June. I think it was June 2012. Actually, probably later. But went in, fought, the opportunity to fight for a belt, delighted, and 12 seconds in, I got kicked in the head and knocked clean out. I was dropped. My ego was destroyed.
Yeah.
Doing so well, you know, black or white, as we know, doing so well, and then this sudden low, this crash, and it was a crash, let me tell you. You know, like I had built myself up to be this person over the years to try and protect myself from bullies, you know, be known as the crazy guy and everyone stay away from Graham, and then to do well in fighting. I just felt so masculine, and then woof, exploded. No, you're not what you may be perceived as from yourself, your ego.
Yes. Yeah.
That was the thing, you know.
But look, and then you just decided to recreate yourself, obviously. So since then, since 2012, you've been a busy man. Like you've been a busy man. Like, you know, all the things that I follow in Ireland, you know, everything I follow really would be regarding mental health and well-being. And there's one man that comes up over and over and over. And when I see you in schools, man, and I can see the kids looking up to you and giving the talks, you're on the fucking late night show. You know, that's big deal stuff. You know, so. You know, when the ego crashes down, and I found this from experience as well, when like, you know, perceptions of you, especially from within, but from the outside world, when that gets torn down out of your choice or not out of your choice, more often than not, it's an opportunity to build yourself back to whoever you want to be. And, you know, you've done that for sure. So like, I don't think many people think of you in the MMA sphere, like, you know, you're much more than that now, right?
Yeah, like that was like, to me, my world came crumbling down. To everyone else, it was just a loss in Graham's record. Can you see the difference in perception? Like,
totally.
Just because I was engrossed in the experience and I was like, and everyone else was like, it happened.
That's it.
I was like, no, it doesn't. Like, I built myself up, and then this, like, I was just freaking out.
Conspicuous, man. Yeah, ego and conspicuousness. The whole world is looking at us. They don't give a fuck. We're not that important. Like for everybody, you know what I mean? We all have this, like, everybody's looking at me, everybody's thinking about me, and now everybody's going to judge me.
They're too busy fucking worried about you judging them. That's like, you know, everyone's so like, and it's not a derogatory way, everyone's so self-absorbed, you know what I mean? And that's just how the world is. You know,
I think when you get your head around it, it's quite a positive thing, right? It's just like everybody's too busy worried about their own lives to really, really care to the same level that we care about ourselves. And that's probably how it should be. But like, how long after that fight now we're taking our case? So we're in July 2012. You just got, you know, as you said, your head kicked in or whatever, kicked in the head and knocked out. Yeah. When did you kind of like, what were the months preceding that like for you? When did you kind of dust yourself off and say, like, talk me through that, into New Year's 2013?
Well, things went completely downhill at that point.
Okay.
So from 2012, when I got knocked out, to 2016, there was 2 further suicide attempts. There was 8 more psychiatric ward stays.
Okay.
I ended up homeless for 3 months.
Okay.
I was not allowed to see my daughter temporarily for obvious reasons. You know, just the way I was, my mental health. It was best not to be around my daughter with addiction and everything else.
Yeah.
So I was sleeping in my car and stuff like that. And I had hurt myself to the point where doctors were talking about amputation of a limb.
Oh wow.
Without getting too graphic in general. But yeah, things just completely fell apart, and my weight just completely ballooned up. I used to fight
Okay.
at 11 stone. I went up to 18 stone, 10 pounds.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where I was at on the 31st of October 2016. That's my date for recovery.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
the day I said no more and meant it with
Good
drinking
man.
drugs. In that moment, I said, right, I have a couple of choices here, right? So it's either black or white. It's one or the other, Graham. This is how it is. So I decided to choose my daughter over drinking drugs. I decided to choose living over dying.
Yeah.
And not that I chose, I just decided to fully commit to so I had seen everything go this way. I wanted to see how big it can get as well. I've seen the dark side. I've been there like for years. I've seen
Yeah.
how far down that hole I can get.
Mm.
What's the light like? How good can you be?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I wanted to fully commit to that, and just having a mind open and curious to what I could achieve as a person in general
Okay.
in this life. You know what I mean?
Good
And
man.
it went that way. I mean, like in the space of 9 months, I'd lost 6.5 stone myself. No nutritionist, no personal trainer, no nothing. I wanted to go back fighting in MMA because that was my goal as well. I wanted to just go back competing, and if I got knocked out again, it wouldn't have such an impact anymore. But I had to have an MRI in my brain, and I failed medically. I've spots in my brain. They're not sure where they came from, but they were like, "Look, they're present. We don't know what a punch is going to do." So that was dashed in the middle of all that.
Okay.
An old training partner of mine actually ended up taking his life as well. As I was
Sorry to
that,
that.
yeah, look, it's not the best way to put it, but it happens. You know what I mean?
It does. It does.
Yeah,
And it happens far too frequently, but you can see how,
yeah,
vulnerable and fragile we all are. And you and I were both in that position, and, we could be part of the statistics, and we're not, but unfortunately other people weren't so lucky. But yeah, it does happen. It's still tragic. And it's
absolutely.
still the worst possible consequence of mental health and mental illness, the worst possible consequence. It all sucks, but that's the worst. So I'm glad you're still with us, Graham. And I'm glad I'm here too, but I'm still sorry. Anytime I hear
Yes,
somebody,
the feeling is very mutual. You know what I mean? And like I used to have, like I have challenges with gratitude at time. But like I do try and express gratitude as often as I can anyway, on some level or some intensity, because like I was genuinely close to death myself. You know what I mean? On a number of occasions, like like having overdosed and having that charcoal shit and just like coming around and what the fuck. Like they were like, Graham, you're like, you need to get your shit together here, basically. We're seconds from death. You know what I mean? 2 days ago, we were going to put you in a coma and all that. Like I was like it's I love chatting about stuff like this because it reflects, a lot of stuff. It brings a lot of stuff up for me in a good way. You know what I mean? In a way that I can express that gratitude just like you have there. You know what I mean? And it's, we both know, and a lot of people listening as well will possibly know how easy it is to slip into the dark side, or lack of a better term. You know what I mean? And how possibly challenging it can be to come out. But we're here for a reason, me and you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We're here to
And
show you that it is possible.
Yes, and what can be achieved, the other side of the darkness. We shed a little bit of light, but like the sun is shining on us now. It's daytime for us. We've fought through the night, and we're here now, and the sun is shining. But you got to keep that glimmer. And it's there for everyone. It's there for. I couldn't see it. I don't know what the fuck kept me alive in 2008, but something did. I had some form of hope, and it wasn't tangible. I couldn't put words in it, but I was like, this isn't the way I'm going to go. I was like, this can't be the end of the road, and I wanted it to be. But like 2022, or coming into like this 2021 now, it's a different story for both of us. But anybody listening, lads, and this is very sensitive for a lot of people, but like real talk, this stuff happens. And if you're in that position right now, just fucking stay alive and just keep trying, because there's hope on the other side, you know, and it can only get better. The only way is up, and life does improve. And the only exception is if you abstain. So all you got to do is keep breathing. And, you know, Graham, you're a prime example of that. You know, what can be achieved if we stay, you know, looking for that light?
Yeah, no, like I think I am. And like, you know, for me, at that point in my story, when I started to turn things around, I was like, I'm not letting my suffering be in vain. You know what I mean? I'm going to speak about this. I'm going to help
Nice,
someone.
man.
I don't care who it is. You know what I mean? I'm going to share my story. And that I did. And I put it up on Facebook in,
Nice.
I think it was 2017.
Man.
And it was just like, do you ever see on Facebook timeline where you're just kind of scrolling and then someone puts up like a stupid status and there's like a load of numbers and digits and you have to keep scrolling this massive status?
Yeah.
I'm like, you're deleted as a friend. But it's like, that was my story, you know. It was just never ending on the post. I didn't even know you could post that long on Facebook on your status, you know. But within an hour there was 46,000 people had seen it, and there was about 350 comments.
Wow, man.
In the space of an hour. So
well done, you. Can you imagine how many people's lives that touched? Just that one message or that one post. If there's that much traction, that much, you know, communication regarding it, can you imagine how many eyes were on that and how many stories went from that and how much hope that brought? I haven't read it, but I can assume the context and the content, and man, fucking hell, like, you know, that matters. That stuff has a difference, like without doubt. And so that's all. I have so much admiration for you, man. And I know we're trying to do the same thing in the same sphere, but like, fucking, the more of us doing this stuff, the better, you know. And more power to you.
Definitely. Like, you could go into, you could be, you know, I don't know, like a life coach, a personal trainer. You could be in, you know, in the e-commerce space, and they're all competitors. But in like the mental health advocacy space, there's zero competing. There's none of that. It's just like,
let's just make the world a better place.
Fucking in. Let's go.
That's it. Stronger together, right? Stronger together. And it's that collaborative, you know, cooperative environment we have, which is lovely. And, you know, I study a lot of business stuff now. I'm trying to become an entrepreneur. I don't know if I am, but I'm reading lots of business stuff. They're like,
same here.
But like, competitive markets just like ruin everything for everybody. There's enough resources out there. But anyway, in our sphere, like, there's everybody. I collaborate more with my competitors than anybody else, because like they're the people I respect and admire and want to do most well, because they're trying to do what I'm trying to do. Everybody wins.
No, I get that.
But it's fantastic. But it's still, at the same time, man, it's, you have been exceptional in that sphere, in my eyes at least. And again, I keep joking, but maybe it's because you're a Cork, I gotta pay more attention to you. But you are doing serious work, and it's all from the heart. You know, there's no bullshit, and it's just authenticity. You just see it through you, the integrity, and everything you do is for this cause. And look, it's admirable, and you've a lot of respect from me anyway. I hope you know that.
Appreciate it, dude. No, the feeling's very mutual. You know, anyone at all, literally, there's lots of people on Instagram as well who are in the mental health advocacy space, and I'm just like, as your body language is brilliant there. Like, I'm practically doing that when I see a post. I'm just like, fucking yes, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know who you are, but that made so much fucking sense, and that's gonna help. And
I just think it's being real. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of, you know, spoof out there, but what I really respect is reality, just real stories, real people telling real stories, and without any bullshit and without any ego. It's like, let's tell the fucking truth and bring some reality and some difference to the world through our words by just telling our stories. Nothing more, nothing less. You don't have to be qualified to tell your story. And the more we do it with authenticity, like unconsciously, you give the next person the same opportunity to tell their story. They'll hear you and go, fuck, didn't know I could talk that honestly. I'm going to say that to my next buddy. You know, you give the next guy the same opportunity to talk just by talking, and it costs us nothing.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. Like, there is a lot of spoof on Instagram. I see, like, I don't know, man. I'm trying to withhold judgment here now, but there's a lot of people there that put mental health advocate in their bio, and the content that they're posting is like no, that's not. Like, like 90% of people online, myself included, have some form of low self-esteem or insecurity, right? And a natural byproduct of that is comparison. Okay. And then you go on, and there's this guy posting this picture, or this girl posting this picture, and I'm just like, if I'm doing this, like, how many other people are feeling the same way? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is an interesting one. And I think I flag it as, I think it's like, you know, to different levels, everybody has suffered with their mental health at some stage, right? So there's mental health and there's mental illness, right? And you know, the people that really suffer with mental illness, like you and I, you know, without trying to do anything, if we just tell our story, I think it adds value. Just, you know, this is what it's like to suffer with like clinical, serious mental health issues or mental illness, like depression and anxiety was me, and kind of I was compulsive, like just compulsive thinking, just over and over rumination. So that, but it was like to the point of suicidal as well, suicidal ideation. So I think just being able to express that honestly is like, you know, for anything else, if they're not experiencing it, it's just like an education or knowledge, you know, it's just like, oh, that's new information, didn't know that was like. And if for somebody who's experiencing it, it's like hope, or like, you know, a role model, or somebody that potentially could learn from in a more direct manner. But what I see when people post about mental health that it might have suffered to whatever degree, I think from a position of strength, it's very obvious and can be very positive. But if that person is still struggling, I remember, I'm going to show my age now, but in 2008, when I was in a real bad place, I was posting on Bebo all the time. I was some Bebo.
Jesus Christ, you're old.
I know, I'm not young fella. I'm fucking 36 years of age. Anyway,
I'm 32, so.
Oh yeah, look, cut from the same kill. But we were, on Bebo, and my girlfriend at the time, she was like, Daniel, take that post down. But obviously I was in a really bad place. I wasn't even, you know, at that stage, wasn't even trying to like help. I wasn't being a mental health advocate, but I was using social media kind of like as an expression of like, you know, just getting the noise out there. I need a bit of help. I'm not in a good place, whatever. But I think when you come out to the other side and you've developed that strength and that confidence, no longer kind of ego, and no longer, you know, you know who you are, and warts and all, that's who you are. I think you can do a lot of good using all forms of media from a position of strength. And I think that's a big distinction.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, like even with my posts, like, you know, the Real World Buddhist on Instagram is my handle, or whatever you want to call it. Like I try and bring an element of Eastern philosophy into the Western world. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I practice lots of meditation, mindfulness, yoga. You know, like I researched Taoism and like just everything from Eastern philosophy. I love it. I absolutely love it. Like Bushido code from samurai warriors.
Love it, man.
It's amazing. It really interests me. But I also live in the real world. Like you walk down a certain street in Cork City, like there's needles on the floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I live in the real world. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know, that's where the name came from. And like anything I put, like I'm just Graham. Like, you know, I can't, as much as I might try or something like in a corporate setting or something else to be something else, like it just feels so false. Like, and I'm just like fucking me, right?
Yeah, and you get booked because you get booked because of who you are. You know, you don't like.
Yeah. It's just like I just don't know how to be anything else than myself. And I think that's my superpower. You know what I mean?
Yes, man. And yes.
Even with like if you were to look at content that I post, like it's real. It's not triggering. I know. I've went away. Like you can post stuff about mental health online, but you have to be very, very careful what you post, because a lot of stuff, if you're mentioning suicide all the time, if you're mentioning like, the act of self-harm and what you had done, like these can trigger people at home. So I went away, I've done like, you know, about 80% through a diploma in psychology. I've done mindfulness. Nice. I've friends, like one of my therapists who brought me through my journey is like my best friend. I've so many deep conversations with her. We go like cold water swimming, you know, like, but I've brought everything that I've taken from them, the courses, everything, and my own experience, and I put it into my content. And what I do is I ensure I always finish on a positive note, even if the post gets a bit deep, and I know not to go too deep because it can be triggering, but it's just real. And then at the very end, with psychology, you remember the last thing that you see or the last thing that you hear from someone when they speak. So, you know, it's just with the negativity bias in our brain, we'll pick up on the negatives, we'll dwell upon them and all that. So you have to finish with a positive note at the very end. You know what I mean? So that's how I do it. Now, I do see posts online, and it can, looking from the perspective of someone who's suffering, it can be triggering. And I'm just like, oh, you could have finished that on a high, to be honest, and that can be damaging, you know. So it's a very complicated, particular area, and I just feel it has to be done right.
But I think there's like with my DTW stuff, like I just bring it down to the fundamentals, and it's like focusing on your health before we have to focus on illness. You know, it's like, what can we do? Just lifestyle stuff that it's physical health, but it's also mental health. So we just look after ourselves. The chances are we won't get to that crisis point where we'll need to, have all the help around us, like you and I both experienced. So, and that's the, I suppose, look, I'm confident saying that because, I'm a PE teacher and a personal trainer and I've got my mindfulness qualification, but it's just generally speaking, just lifestyle stuff, that like your grandmother would have told you is stuff that you do. Eat good food, go for a walk, get enough sleep. Just,
basics for the win, always.
Oh man, fundamentals. It's like we can solve so many of these problems. I just think if people just took more control of looking after themselves in a more proactive fashion, and avoiding the stuff that we know makes us feel bad and the people that we know it makes us feel bad, and engage with the activities that we know make us feel good, and hang out with the people that we know make us feel good, and then just look after ourselves. Like, no, it's, there's still exceptions, but I think if everybody did that, like I talk about the core for all the time, eat good food, sleep 8 hours, drink 2 liters of water, and move every day for an hour. Like basic. Do that every day the rest of your life. A lot of your problems will be solved. But look,
do you know what? It kind of pisses me off, and I've kind of used it in the past, based off of I have to eat as well, and my daughter needs food too. Is that like nothing in the personal development industry would sell if you just told people about the actual things that fucking work.
Man, I say this all the time.
Water, eat, sleep 8 hours.
It's not sexy.
Eat good food,
it's not sexy. Connect, sell a book or a magazine.
With like-minded people. Like, who wants to read a book about that?
Oh man, you're not going to sell any magazine. It's just, so that's a fad diets, and you sleep for 2.5 minutes every night and you're gonna be alive for, like, it's all just like random stuff, work out for 4 minutes a day and get a six-pack. It's like, fuck off. It's like, stop spinning this bullshit just to sell books. But sorry mate, I we keep going. But it does just come down to that. It's just like, bring it back to the basics. But speaking of which, and that was what I want to talk to you about next, so it was lovely timing for this, is that, like, this year has been a bit of a shitstorm, right? Since last March, and with the gyms closing and less opportunities to do the normal stuff that we have been doing. And I feel as though this year, more than anything else, we just had to kind of stay on top of our day-to-day habits and lifestyles. And like, even before this year, I'm just interested, what does Graham do to look after? Because obviously you're not 18 stone anymore, and obviously you're looking in good shape and boost. But like mentally and physically, you just look strong, and you have for a while. So what are you doing now that you weren't doing when you were 17, 18, 19?
Prioritizing myself.
Good man.
Never ever done that. I didn't even understand the concept of self when I was 17, 18. I was so outside of myself and so focused on everything that was external that I forgot myself.
Yeah.
And I think, like, through my journey of therapy and like just 3 different psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists, everything, Pierre the house 3 times. Like, there was just so much.
Yeah.
I think it was actually like, it was almost like a disassociation because I was afraid to go in there. You know what I mean? I just projected externally all the time. Oh, it's your fault. it's this, it's that. And, I never once did I look inwards. And like, over my years of like, I'm 4.5 years and 6 days off alcohol and drugs today.
Good man. Fair play to you.
Cheers, dude. It just had to happen, clearly.
Yeah. Credit where it's due.
But yeah, I think like just me prioritizing myself, right, and doing it with a clear mind. You know what I mean? And while I was using alcohol and drugs, while I was using other forms of escapism, like we talk about addiction like it's just alcohol and drugs, or gambling is mentioned the odd time. It's like, no, like you can be addicted to porn, you can be addicted to multiple sexual partners, you can be addicted to masturbation, you could be addicted to escapism itself, you could be addicted to food. Like, addiction is at its core, addiction is escapism from the here and now. And what it's really saying is, I don't like this feeling, I want a better one. You know what I mean? And the more that I understood that, and the fact that I was always escaping externally, I thought, hang on a minute, what if the next time I'm fucking triggered, I escape internally? Nice. I go inwards instead of outwards.
Love that.
Yeah. So that's my, I'm continuing to build that habit. You know what I mean? Some days I don't, some days I do. But like, it's just, if we just got the habit of escaping inwards in times of crisis, stress, or just not feeling 100%, and that's okay, I think things would change drastically for someone. But it's fine to say that. You know what I mean? For me, it was a massive fear to go inwards. I was afraid of what was going on. You know I mean, there's other things happen as well when I was about 6 or 7. I can't really mention it, you know, and stuff like this, or even on social media. It's just, but like there was so much going on, and I was absolutely traumatized. So when I was 6 or 7, I started a self-harm from bullying. My brother was 16. He was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a form of cancer. He had a tumor in his chest. Given a 50-50 chance of survival, he survived. But at that time, I thought he was dying, 100%. He's dead. So I was grieving, even though my brother was still here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like there was just so much going on. Massive traumas just consistently throughout my life. A lot of self-inflicted traumas as well, you know. But how about the
Yeah, go on, sorry.
No, I was gonna I was just like, how much is it self-inflicted if these traumas were, you know, part of your life at 5 and 6? Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I think if you need to put yourself some slack there, how could you possibly, you know, what we have, like from the first or the last trimester, like prior to being born, so we're still in our mother's womb, up until the age of 7, I'm going to say, that's where we develop our personality and our subconscious. So like those are the most formative years, up to the age of 7 years of age. So we can say that we did like self-inflicted damage when we're adults, but like if stuff happened to us in those years or whatever, like that's a strong foundation. So look, I just think, look, it does. I felt that you should cut yourself some slack there, because I just think you wouldn't possibly have been able to do anything else. I don't think, you know, you weren't in control at 6 or 7. So, but look, anyway, that's an aside. We can talk about that another day, Graham. But some slack.
Yeah, I like obviously what I've experienced as a child. Like I've no comprehension. I had no choice in the matter. I had no understanding fully from an adult perspective of what was going on. I know now that wasn't self-inflicted. I think what went on throughout the years with the self-harm, like that was clearly self-inflicted. You know what I mean? For sure. You know, absolutely. So I think like just the just major, mild, major, mild, major traumas that I've experienced in that pattern had led to that escapism and a fear of going inwards. You know what I mean? And for anyone who's listening right now, and it's a very common thing that I hear as well with clients and people at workshops and talks, is like, you know, I'm actually afraid to go inwards. And I'm like, that's okay. You know, you don't have to change that. When the time is right and the fear starts to dissipate, you can just look at it. You don't have to go inwards completely. It's just there's stages to it, you know. But I will say, if there's a lot of heavy stuff going on for you and you're afraid to look inwards, I would not encourage you to do that on your own. If you're going to look inwards, do it with a professional by your side, like a therapist or a counselor or whatever it may be. I would not encourage anyone to, you know, everyone's on about working out and I'm on about working in, you know. If you're working in, you know, it can be challenging. So I don't encourage doing it on your own. And if you feel like you may need to talk to someone, you do. The feeling is there to protect you, you know, through that.
I agree with that.
So a lot of prioritizing me, like I've a 6-month challenge up on my board there where
what does that entail, Graham? What does that entail? What are you doing for the next 6 months?
While I have you.
Good man.
So it's a journey of personal and career growth without social media.
Oh yes, I saw that. I was trying to give you a touch on Instagram, and I was like, what? He's gone? All right.
Yeah. like with this as well, like I've 5,000 in my email list. I'll shoot this across to them when it's all done. But yeah, I was just kind of going like social media, scrolling. Like none of this impacts my life in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Oh, that one impacted negatively. Don't like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm just like, I'm
good man.
A fucker for a challenge, right? I challenged myself a long time ago to get my shit together, and I did.
And you did.
You know, and so I've come off and like it's no social media for 6 months straight, and if it goes longer than that, so be it. But basically, I'm working out every day. So like, obviously working out 5 days a week, and then I'll have 2 like active recovery days or whatever on the weekend, just moving my body. I have a particular gratitude practice that I've come up with that I'll use every single day. I have just journaling in general. Have you heard of Stoicism?
Yeah. Big fan.
So Stoic journaling in the morning and the night.
Nice, man.
And just everything, like it's all around building habits for me. And I'm going to places in myself as well where I feel confident doing it on my own right now. I feel strong enough for it. And if I need to reach out, I will. But like they're all like, it's personal development. It's a lifelong journey. No matter who you are, what label you assign to yourself. I'm a life coach. Like I'm a speaker on this topic. You know, underneath that label is still a human being, and I think there's always areas to improve, better, to reflect upon, to send love to grow.
Yes,
you know.
love that, mate. And there's power in that, you know. The other side of you is the ego that says, "Oh, look, I'm complete. This is me, and I'm a fucking rock star." It's like, fuck that bullshit. Yeah. So it's like there's power. It's empowering and exciting knowing that we're all a work in progress, and like this growth is a never-ending journey, and it's wonderful. We wouldn't have it any other way, Graham. We wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, and do you know what, Daniel? Like, I think the biggest thing for me, right, is like now that I can see, you know, like let's say a couple of years ago, right, or a good few years ago, when I had to look at myself, when I had to go inwards, there was fear. It's like, oh, no. Now, when I look inwards, there's excitement. I can't wait to grow. I can't wait to be better. I can't wait to be a better father or a better person.
Good man.
You know what I mean? It's just
love
like,
that.
I love it. Yeah.
Love that, man. And I just look, and I'm the exact same. And I think listeners out there will take a lot from that. And I just think that's a lovely way now to finish this podcast, because I think everybody at the moment, you know, with the pandemic and everything else, there's all doom and gloom. But it's lovely to know that just no matter where you are in life, no matter what stage you're at, there's hope for a better future. Whether you're at the bottom of the ladder like we were, or whether you're climbing along it now, making progress like we are, there's still growth, and we'll never reach the top. And we don't want that, because it's impossible. And we want to keep growing.
There is no top.
There is no top. It's the thing. And so it's a lovely, enjoy the journey. It's not about the destination. It's all about that journey. But look, Graham, you're an absolute gem, and there was so much wisdom there, man. And if people were listening to this now and they wanted to reach out to you or wanted to find you, and I know we're not on social media for the next 6 months, but how would people get in contact?
Yeah, so you can, I'm still taking clients at the minute. So we're in contact through, they all know I'm on the 6-month social media break. They're all actually going, I might do that myself. You know what I mean? Again, it's kind of like leading from the front, you know.
Nice.
But yeah, so we're in contact through email, and everything I'll be doing will be through email in general. So will I say it now? What my email?
Yeah. Work right.
So it's info@gmcleadership.com. So GMC is for Graham McCormack. So info@gmcleadership.com, all lowercase.
Brilliant, Graham. And I'll put that into the post. When I'm posting this to my socials next week, even though you mightn't see it on the socials, I'll make sure all the links.
Won't see it at all.
I'll send it to you in a letter or something. I'll use pay a post there.
Carrier pigeon.
Well, look, Graham, you're an absolute gent, man. Really enjoyed that, and I really appreciate your time. All right, and I hope the rest of the, you know, the 6 months journey goes as well as possible for you, and I'm sure it will. But you're a gent, so thanks for that, mate.
Thank you very much. We'll definitely catch up as well, dude, in future. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I love this. I wish it could go on longer. And for those listening right now, there might be a part 2. Who knows?
Yes. Look, I think it's a safe bet. There will be. So we'll make sure we'll lock that in. And but Graham, like, all about your life and all about what you're trying to achieve in the world, and just all about you in general. So this conversation, this is the start. We'll say it could be a trilogy. Who knows? But we'll definitely do it again. Yeah. Well, guys, the rest of you, look, thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I'll be back in next week talking about something else that I know nothing about with somebody else. But for today, you know that it's nothing but love. All right, Graham, you're a gent. Take it easy, brother.